What was that thing you were telling me about the holly at Christmas?
I was telling you about when I was growing up at home. My mother never took in holly into the house before Christmas Eve if I had red berries on it, because it was bad luck to do it.
And when would you take them in then?
She'd take her in on Christmas Eve after midnight mass. She'd let you put her up. Now she could have her on the balcony because we lived in flats, because she'd buy it, and then she'd bring her in off the balcony and she'd put her up over her photographs on Christmas Eve once it was gone midnight mass, because it was time to put her up. But that was her idea of it.
And where was that?
We lived in the flats in Dominic Street.
And the holly would only go up
Christmas Eve, and it'd come down then maybe on this, when she took down the Christmas tree on the 6th of January, because the berries be had to coming off it.
What's the story with the bags of coal at Christmas and the ashes?
Well, if you were bold at Christmas, your ma'd say to you, you wouldn't get anything from Santa, you'll get a bag of coal from him.
Many a time I was threatened with a bag of coal.
Did you ever get a bag?
No.
No, never got a bag.
And what did you have?
The same thing, bag of ashes if you were bold.
And did you ever get one?
No, I never got it at all.
It's all a threat.
Yeah.
And what did you do with your Santa letters?
Put them in the chimney, and they went up. Up the chimney went, and once it went up the chimney, that was it. Santa got it.
When I see Mary Poppins that time when the kids wrote for Santa, for the nanny, it reminded me of Santa. You know the way the letter went
Put it
up?
up the letter, up the chimney.
And come here to me, when you were inside in Dublin, like, did you take down the decorations then?
Not till the 6th of January.
6th of January, yeah. Old Christmas Day.
Always all Christmas Day passed, and then you took down your
They said it was unlucky
decorations.
to leave them up after that date.
Did you ever have another dinner that day, on Little Christmas Day or Old Christmas Day?
Just a normal dinner we'd have. Well, lucky you got fed for your Christmas dinner.
Did you have a Christmas tree growing up?
Yes.
Yes.
You had a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Did you do anything around St. Stephen's Day? Did you go out at all or dress up or anything like that?
No, down the country they do that, but we never done. We never done.
Did you visit the graves at Christmas?
Oh yeah,
You'd have to
Christmas
walk
morning.
to the graves,
Yeah.
because there was no buses.
Yeah, always walked. Mm.
You did that?
Yeah, I always went to first Glasnevin. I lived on Wood Quay. I always went to Glasnevin.
That far out?
Hmm?
You'd walk out?
Yeah,
With
Christmas
no
morning.
choice. There was
It's
no
not fair.
buses.
Yeah.
No glass of them.
And what would you do with the grave?
Put
Oh, we'd
flowers
always
or
put
holly wreath
flowers.
on it.
A holly wreath, mostly a holly wreath.
And do you still do it, women?
We did it up to about 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah, about 3 years ago. So we didn't. We just stopped doing it.
Out to your mammy and daddy's grave?
Yeah.
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 And you call your mammy your...
Hey, mummy.
Mummy,
Yeah,
and my daddy,
Mammy
my
as well.
daddy.
You the same?
Yeah, same. And I'd go out and visit the grave, you know, over Christmas as well. I'd feel terrible guilty if I didn't go out, you know. Yeah.
Gorgeous. Thanks a million. Did you write letters to Santy?
Yeah, we did write letters to Santy, and my mother took them, and we thought she had posted them, but then about a year or two ago, a cousin of mine was cleaning out the attic, and she found the letters to Santy.
All your letters?
Yeah, and my brothers and sisters' letters
And when were they written?
in the 70s, 80s.
And do you have any idea what was on any of them?
No,
Would you be interested in seeing them?
yeah.
Was there any tie that you remember writing to Santy for?
I think a remote control car.
Did you get it?
Yeah. And Christmas is a nice time of the year.
Do you still like Christmas?
Yeah.
And did you put up a Christmas tree?
Yeah. I still do put up a tree. And to take it down after the 6th of January.
And you were saying that you were the youngest as well, was that right?
Yeah,
And you were given special jobs at Christmas.
yeah.
What were they?
But putting the star on the top of the tree and the baby in the crib Christmas Eve, and all the figures in the crib. The youngest in the house always does that.
You got that job.
Yeah,
And the three wise men?
yeah. Putting them in too.
Is Christmas still a happy time for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I like Christmas. It's a nice time of the year.
Siobhan, what's that tree over your right shoulder?
This is the hawthorn tree. Grows profusely in Ireland, but thought to be very unlucky. Nobody will allow you bring the flowers into the house. And it has associations with fairy trees, and no farmer in Ireland would ever cut down a hawthorn tree, just to be on the safe side.
And did you rob orchards as a young one?
I didn't actually rob them. I just took a few wherever I'd see them hanging. And that's what I would do. If they were hanging low enough, or if I didn't have to climb too high, they were just perfect.
And you'd put them in your jumper?
I put them in my jumper, yeah. And ate them all the way home. I bring a few home to the others.
And what did you call them when you put them in your jumper?
A Gansey load.
A what?
So, a Gansey load. So, the more you had, the bigger the Gansey load.
A Gansey load.
A Gansey load. We were very lucky because the people behind us had big, lovely orchard in their garden. So we had choices of pears sometimes, or lovely red apples. I always liked the apples. That's what I went for. You know.
And you were fast?
Very fast. It never caught me. Yeah.
With your Gansey?
With me Gansey, yeah. I'm playing with me marbles. Is that it now? Go away.
Maria and Ellen, what's the story with the conkers and the spiders?
In September, when the conkers all fall off the trees, and what you do is you pick them up, you bring them home, and you put them in the corners of all your windows and the doors, and it stops the spiders from actually coming in, and it also stops them from nesting there as well.
Did you hear that, Ellen?
I did hear that.
And do you do
I
it?
do that, yes I do. And I believe that it works. I
you-
used to always talk to conkers where put on a string and then
And we
hole
played
put
with
in
them.
them, and we put a knot in the end and we played with them, where we banged them off one another. But that day is gone now, so we used them for the spiders instead.
Did you ever put conkers in the fire to figure out who you were going to fancy when you got older?
No, I never
No.
got that far.
We never did that.
I wasn't told that one. Bit late now telling me.
Never too late.
Lads, I just randomly was chatting there about holy medals, and you start rooting in your pockets, did you?
Yes.
Yes.
Why was that?
Because we carry a medal with us.
And do
Mara
you,
always gave you a medal. You always had it around your neck, and you always had scapulars on. That kept you safe.
and where did you get your medal from?
I got that from a friend who had been to Lourdes and brought it home to me
And
years ago.
And you've got a handful of medals there.
Yes, I have a handful of medals. This one was actually a monk, which I knew, in Thailand that died, and they make medals for them. These were lucky stones, and look for to keep money in your purse always. If you were poor, if you gave enhancing the money.
So handsome mummy.
Yeah. There's other ones here. I actually have the Remackless medal my mother wore in her coffin, but this is not it. It's a bigger medal, but it's the Remackless medal with M for Mary, who carries the cross, 12 little stars, which you can see around it, and 2 little hearts.
And you wouldn't carry them with you the whole time, would you?
I do, yeah, it's in my purse. There's a few more to go with that.
And yourself as well.
Yeah, this is just from a friend as well, just given to me to keep me safe, and healthy, and a bit of luck, I suppose.
And completely random, I just asked you about these medals, and you just you all have them.
Yeah, Padre
Yeah,
Pio.
just
With a relic on the back of it. An old lady gave me that I used to look after. A neighbour. and this one came from Amsterdam. The man lived in, but he saw my father, and he gave me this to his memories of
It's lovely.
after my father died. He described him sitting beside me along the coast.
That is Maria Goretti.
Is that Maria Goretti?
Yeah, St. Maria Goretti.
I didn't know who she was.
Yeah, I'm named after her.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. I've been
St. Maria
carrying
Goretti.
them for years.
Yeah.
Now, you were holding a jug that belonged to your aunts, is that right?
Yes.
And on it there are some fruit.
They're called pomegranates. Ellen calls them wine apples. You can know them as either.
The posh people knew them as what do you call them?
Pomegranates.
Okay, I only knew them as wine apples.
Wine apples.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they always only came out of Halloween.
That's right.
Couldn't get them before Halloween.
Wine apples.
Yes.
Or pomegranates.
Yes.
Now, at Christmas time, there's a fellow comes and leaves loads of presents for children all over the world. What do ye call him at all?
Santa Claus.
Santi.
Santi.
And I call him Santa.
So we have one Santa.
Yeah.
And
Santi.
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 Santa Claus.
a Santa Claus as well. Same fella.
Same
Same
fella.
fella.
Yeah.
Does the same job.
Just same
White
job.
beard, yeah.
Still the same different chimneys, but still the same fella.
Actually,
Magic.
and when I have you there, when you were writing to Santa years ago, how did you get your message to Santa?
Put her up the chimney.
In the fire.
In the fire. With
You always put her up on the chimney.
In the
Poor
fire
little
as well.
seen her going up the fire, up the flames.
Did you?
Yeah.
So what would you do, tell me, Ellen?
Just write me a letter and ask him what I wanted, and then I just put her in the fire and I'd sit looking at her burning, and that meant it was gone to Santa Claus.
And were you the same?
Yeah.
Yourself?
Yeah.
Yes, same.
Yes, the same.
And he's from different parts of Dublin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell me about the selection box.
Selection box is a religion in our house. First of all, from the time the kiddies were small, and they're not small now, the oldest is 35 and the youngest is 31, they've always got a selection box. Santa has always brought them a selection box, no matter what size they were. And even to this day, they still get a selection box wrapped up and they have to open it up every Christmas. I'm going away now in Australia. I even posted some over to my son and daughter-in-law over in Australia so that they can get it, and they were destroyed because of the heat over in Australia in the post. They were destroyed, but they just loved, they videoed them opening up the selection boxes on Christmas morning. It's just a thing in our house. We love it.
And how old is the son?
The oldest one is 35, the second one is 32, and my daughter is 31, and they still get it, and they still expect it. They still ask for it, you know what I mean? Like, so it's lovely now. I love doing it now. It's one thing that is easy accessible to do, and you're not guessing about it. It's just automatic that they get it.
I've got 5 Dublin women in front of me. And lads, what did you call your mother when you were growing up?
Mammy.
Mummy.
Mummy.
Mammy.
Mammy.
And even to this day, what would you refer to them as?
Oh,
Mammy.
definitely still Mammy.
Mammy.
Yeah.
Yeah, still the same.
Yeah.
Me, Mammy. Back in 1965, my mother brought me to Lourdes because I had asthma quite bad. But this is one of the little TV souvenirs I brought back, and I loved it. Now, we didn't have coloured televisions in those days, we had only black and white. So it just rolled on different pictures. You can see there's kind of smoke marks there. It was on the fireplace for donkey's years. So it was quite dirty from dust and stuff. Oh, it's not moving now. There you go. It's like the old TVs. They roll around. I think I was the first child to go out to a foreign country in the class back then. I had to write essays and read them out about my trip there. We didn't go fly there. We had to go by boat and train, and because there was no flights there at the time. Even the bishop had to go that way, and the bishop's boys, and you had to stop in Paris overnight and go to mass the next morning and do all the things like nuns.
But you brought that back home.
Yeah, my mum bought me this. I think we only got a television at home around that time. Black and white.
What are you holding in your hands?
Well, I'm holding a 4-shilling piece, and that my mother got on our wedding day. I passed her on to me.
And what are you holding,
And I'm
Ellen?
holding a 5-shilling piece.
And where did you get that?
I got that the year I was born off my mummy, but I don't really know the story behind it.
But you got it the year you were born.
Yeah, the year I was born.
Was it for good luck?
It was, yes. She told me never to part with it.
And what year were you born?
1951.
And Maria, what's the story with yours again?
Mine was given to me mummy. They exchanged money on their wedding day. So between me mum and me dad. So she got that in say 1947
When she got married?
when she got married. And it's dated 80 and 85. So I don't know whether she got it from her mummy and it passed down or not, I don't know.
And what was it for?
They always exchanged money at their weddings in those days. Like the way we used to give children when they were born, we always gave them money at their christenings and stuff like that.
And would you part with them?
No.
I leave it to somebody in my will, but I won't part with it at the moment. I have it too long now.
And what are you holding in your hand?
I'm holding 2 gulliers in my hand. They were used to knock out the marbles when you'd be playing the game on the pats or whatever you could line them up against. And you'd put a big row of them all along. As many as wanted to play could. And you'd have your gullier and you'd slash it off the wall or wherever all the marbles were lined up. And you won whatever came out of the line.
A gullier?
A gullier. It has to be bigger than the small marble, so either, but the coloured ones were the best.
Did you play hopscotch?
No, I didn't play hopscotch. We played French skipping.
What's
Normal
that?
skipping. 2 ropes. And you jump in and try not to break your neck. That's what we did.
French skipping?
French skipping. And jumping out of the trees. See how high you could climb up the tree and jump out. I think there was a bit of monkey in me or something.
What were the games you remember? Little verses of the games. Can you remember any of them now? You had a few last week for me.
I can't remember now. Knick-knack on the doors. You know, you knock on all the old neighbours' doors that you didn't like and you tear off down the road and hope you weren't caught. Because if you were, they go up to your ma and tell her they're knocking on me door. But I could run fast, so I never got caught.
How does that little verse go with regards to Devil Era?
Vote for Devil Era. In comes Molly at the door.
So when we were playing skipping, so it was when we were playing skipping, and whoever was going to jump in, you'd call in, and then whoever was going to jump out would jump out.
The 2 ropes
Oh, yeah,
Two
French
ropes.
skipping.
I was
Skipping.
left-handed. I can only
Yeah.
run in from one
French
side.
skipping, yeah, I used to love that.
Yeah. So that's we'd use that song in when we were playing skipping.
And then do you remember the
Yeah.
rubber bands all tied together around your ankles?
Yeah.
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 My sister went to Irish college for the first year in school, and she came back playing jacks, and I'd never heard them. They're like little tiny metal things, and you toss them up and you have to catch them in there. Jesus, Mary Johnson.
Well, we'd say, when we hear thunder, we'd say that's God moving furniture.
Yeah,
What would
same
you
here.
say?
Yeah, God's moving the furniture around. It's what my mother used to say. It was actually, that's where I got that saying from. And if the lightning comes, she'd be plugging out everything.
Yeah.
Lads, we were talking about fires there a second ago. And Ellen, you had a great joke about if you stayed too close to a fire, what would happen?
You get ABCs on your legs.
What?
ABCs.
And
Which meant it was red lines, marks all up your leg. They knew you were sitting on top of the fire.
ABCs?
Yeah.
And what do you mean ABCs?
It was a mark from the fire where the fire was so hot. Just to just mark your legs. Like a diamond thing up your legs. But we called it ABCs.
And you were saying to me that you wouldn't stand too close to the fire, was that it?
Yeah, if you stand with your back to the fire, my mummy would say, you're bringing bad weather. I stood back to the fire one day and my clothes went on fire.
Oh dear. Oh wow. Jesus.
But you'd be told not to stand too close to
Oh
the
yeah,
fire.
you were always told not to stand in front of the fire. Yeah.
Because you'd bring bad.
You bring bad luck. Or bad weather, sorry. Bad weather. Yeah.
And you would want about a spark coming out.
Yeah, my mum always said if a spark came out towards you, that it was money coming to you. I don't know why she said that, but she always said it. So you'd see a spark kind of coming up, flickering up around, Again, you'd be all sitting nearly on top of the fire, or trying to dry your hair, or whatever.
Do you all still have fires in your homes?
No.
Yeah.
No. The ones who have fires in their homes, why do you like the fire in your home?
Memories.
Well, I always say the fire is my sun in winter, because it's so heartwarming and you just feel cozy. And it's so relaxing.
I'm holding two little dolls which I got when I was a baby, which would have been in 1953. My mother never gave any of us soothers, and I was the sixth child. Now one had passed away before me, but this little doll here I liked. I wasn't very keen on this little one, but this little one I used to hold like this and I'd suck it. And it's actually hard plastic, and I think they were used, I read last night that they were used for dolls' houses. So I never had a doll's house, so I was deprived. So that's all I can tell you about them. They're vintage dolls. So.
And how many years ago was that?
In 1953. That's 69 years ago. So.
And you still have them?
I still have them, yeah. My mother gave them to me, like back when I moved out of the house. She gave us all our toys, and we all had many toys. So I acquired then other items when my brother passed away. He lived in the family home. So.
Would you get rid of them?
No. Won't give them to you even.
I've got 4 Dublin women in front of me, and you've got different words for the same yoke. Ellen, what are we talking about?
We're talking about soothers that goes into babies' mouths when they start, to stop them from crying.
And what did you call it?
We called it a soother.
And what do you call it?
A gully. And a doo-doo.
And how about yourself?
A dodie.
So we have a
soother,
a gully,
a doo-doo,
a dodie.
For the same yoke?
Yep.
You were telling me earlier on as well that at Halloween night you had a special dish.
Yeah, we used to get called cannon, and we'd have that with.
And you always got the wrapped up money, usually threepence. Yeah, the little white threepence, silver threepence, or if that was the gold one, which was a bit bigger. That was always wrapped up in greaseproof paper and put into the called cannon. So my mad put a few of them in and she'd spoon out the called cannon on the table. So we'd all get one.
And there was 8 of us in our house, and there was always a grushy on the brack. See who'd get the ring, to see who'd get married first. There was always a wedding ring in the brack.
Can you tell me about that wedding custom you were talking about?
It's called a grushy. It's when the bride was leaving her house. maybe her father and some of the bridal party would get a load of change together, and just before the bride and the father got into the car, they would throw the money all over the road, and you'd have every kid in the neighbourhood outside the house because they knew there was going to be a grushy, and they just pick up the money. There'd be a big scramble for the money, for all the coins. Yeah, and I think they still do it, you know, up in, like, I know Tallagh, Fedicare, and they would still do that kind of thing. Yeah.
Do you remember it?
I do indeed, yeah, as a child. Yeah, good times now, because we hadn't got much money then, you know. We were lucky to get a penny for going to the shop, when I think of it. So if there was a gushy, there was money to be made there, you know. We were in. Yeah, good times.
And would you be sniffing out where there'd be a wedding?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we would. Yeah, without a doubt. If we heard there was a wedding, we'd be telling all our friends, and we'd all go to onto the road where the wedding was, and we'd be waiting there, pretending to see the bride, but it wasn't. It was for the grushy.
And what was the word again?
Grushy. Grushy. Yeah.
So,
What are you holding in your hand at all?
It's a hook. I thought it was a scythe, but it's a hook. It's not for the grass. It's actually for all the hedges and the twig, and that's how they got their kindlers and their firewood. That's what they used to do.
And who did it belong to?
My husband's great-grandfather,
And what was his name?
Dick Murphy.
And where was Dick from?
Dublin. He used to be working the lines as a state as a labourer, and he walked from there, and then he moved up to Newcastle.
And have you any idea how old that could be?
Oh, I wouldn't have a clue. No, I wouldn't. All I know, it's old because it's well worn. It's half the size as it should be.
And do you use it at all yourself?
No, my husband collects all these things. Well, not that he collected, he inherited it by choice. He wants all these things at home.
And just a hook for...
Hook for the hedges and the briars, and chopping up the hedges for kindlers for fire and everything like that. They had no money, so not that they had no money, but they made the land work for them.
When did Christmas start for you at home years ago?
Well, as a child, probably when you wrote your letter to Santa and sent it up the chimney. That was the beginning of it for me as a child. But of course, as an adult, it was different. It began on Christmas Eve, when my mother would allow the candle to be lit after midnight mass, a bit like what we were talking about earlier. And then as soon as the candle was lit, Christmas began, and we'd all have a little drink and say Happy Christmas. We'd go to bed then, and then wait for our presents the following morning, which Santa would have brought. So that was the beginning.
And was that like the same for you?
Yes. No,
we didn't have candles.
My ma started hers in October, and she would actually make the cake, and she would make the puddings, and she would put whiskey and stuff in them so that it preserved them for Christmas.
And do you remember making the puddings?
Oh yeah, we all made the pudding. We all got a store of the pudding on Christmas, for the Christmas pudding.
And what do you mean by getting a stir of the pudding?
Well, you got the wooden spoon so that you could store it. Everybody got a chance to
So instead
store
of being
the pudding.
slapped with it,
You
you got to use it.
New Year's Eve, we opened the door and let the old year out and the new year in.
And then the 1st of January, you always got Hansel Monday, and you always got your money.
Once
The
the
first
Monday.
first Monday in the new year, you always got Hansel money, which was a piece of bread and some money so that you'd have food for the year and you'd have money for the year.
And would you do that now with your own grandchildren or small
yeah.
ones?
Yes, we do that all the time. We were even in England last Christmas, and we done it with the nieces and nephews in England last Christmas.
Gave them bread and Hansel money.
Now they looked at me as like I had 4 heads, but still done it.
Still got it.
Some bread and money
Yep.
to start a new
And it
year.
had to be before 12 o'clock
Yeah.
in the day.
It had to be before 12
Have
o'clock
to be
Yeah.
before 12 o'clock in the morning.
on the New Year's Day.
Yeah,
No, on the
first Monday.
Yeah.
First Monday.
Hansel Monday.
Yeah.
Thanks a million.
Thank you.
Thank you.